can you just elaborate on your idea? What is your pitch about this app?
Yeah, good morning, Pete. Thanks for having me on. Every year in New South Wales, we have around 15,000 women report intimate violence against themselves, and many of those come back to an issue of consent. Many of those are women in their late teens, right up until 50, who leave a party or leave a restaurant with someone who they think they can trust, and they end up in a situation that leads to them reporting sexual assault. And this is increasing every year, Pete. So this is an issue that is not going away. For mine, that technology plays such a big role in our life, and so many single people now are meeting online. And there is a chance, perhaps, that this is part of a whole range of other solutions, one being education and simply talking to our sons and daughters, obviously, is a solution that may see this stark increase in sexual violence perhaps plateau off.
Okay, I will get to school and consent in a second, but I just want to ask you, so how it works is, and times like these, I'm thankful that I'm married, but for young people, they go and have a date, and then things go well, and then you've got to give your consent on an app and then get a response. Is that right? This is a part of this first idea?
Yeah, look, absolutely, Pete. And there'll be people sitting at home like you and I that have never dated online who probably think that this is a silly suggestion. But 10 years ago, people weren't dating online. This term about swiping left and right, it didn't exist. But the reality is that in our courts 20, 30 years ago, the length of the skirt of the victim seemed to determine some sort of concept of that they were implicit in the sexual offence, which obviously we've matured well past that. But now we see the problem of impairment. So you go home and the victim is intoxicated beyond the ability to communicate, and then people are considering that is consent because they've come back to their bedroom. Now, the victims aren't accepting this anymore, and they are coming out in their thousands, Pete. So we either need to come up with some better strategies, otherwise our justice system is going to be flooded with predominantly young women and women into their 50s that feel as though they've been violated against their will.
Yeah, I mean, I just asked the Senator Jackie Lambie about this, and she says it's fantastic that these conversations are being had, that there are at least ideas on the table, but this one, perhaps, she goes, it's not going to mean anything if someone's high on drugs or spewing in a bucket, so it might need more work. Do you accept that?
Oh, 100%, Pete, and this is not a solution for the entire problem. 15,000 women came forward in New South Wales, which would be a drop in the bucket in terms of how many potential victims are out there, Pete. And you can't put all of those 15,000 women into a group of women who were trying to pay someone back for a bad relationship. Like, I just think we've got to mature the conversation in relation to this. And if you think 15, 20 years ago, Pete, in policing terms, is that you were still faced with people saying domestic and family violence was a private matter and it's a matter that should have been left behind closed doors. And really last decade, people like yourself and others really championed that cause around domestic and family violence, right? It wasn't all about huge changes in our justice system. It was a bit about changing our expectations on how we should treat predominantly our women. Look, men are a victim of this as well, Pete, but certainly women profile much higher as victims.
And just finally, on to schools, and a lot of people are talking about this at the moment, Commissioner. There seems to be a push on to get it into schools, to teach kids about consent. Do you think that can realistically be achieved?
I think it can, Pete, but I think it starts at home as well now. And we've had the conversations with our son about the right way, to treat your girlfriend or to treat your wife, and violence at home is not acceptable. So it's not as though that this is a leap well beyond what we've done before, and we've done it with domestic and family violence, and we haven't won that. Obviously, war, but geez, we've come a long way. We have moved mountains in the space of domestic and family violence, and we draw a line in the sand today in terms of sexual violence against women.
All right. New South Wales Police Commissioner Mick Fuller, good to have you with us this morning. Appreciate your time. We'll talk to you again soon.
Good on you, Pete. Thank you.